Off we go into the wild blue yonder, climbing high into the sun. Here they come, zooming to meet our thunder. Atom boys, give it a gun. Down we dive, spouting our flame from under. Off with one terrible roar. We live in flame, we go down in flame. Hey, nothing can stop the U.S. Air Force. Over hill, over dell, we have hit the dusty trail, and those caissons go rolling along. Counter march right about, hear those wagon soldiers shout, while those caissons go rolling along. For it's high, high here in the field artillery. Call off your numbers, but it's strong. 2, 3, 4, and where we go, you will always know that those caissons are rolling along. Anchors away, my boys, anchors away. Farewell to college joys, we sail at break of day, 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 day. Through our last night offshore, anchors away. Until we meet once more, here's wishing you a happy voyage home. We're always ready for the call. We place our trust in thee. Through surf and storm and howling gale, our shall our purpose be. Semper Paratus is our guide, our fame, our glory too. To fight, to save, or fight and die, I Coast Guard, we are for you. From the halls of Montezuma to the shores of Tripoli, we fight our country's battles in the air, on land and sea. First to fight for right and freedom, and to keep our honor clean. We are proud to claim the title of United States Marines.
Room 10 Hut! You're listening to MilitaryChatRadio.com.
And welcome to another Tuesday. This is the Al Young Show on MilitaryChatRadio.com. And today I have a special treat for everyone. My new co-host, her name is Denise White Phillips. And welcome, Denise. How are you?
How are you doing today, Al?
I'm doing great. It's a pleasure to have you here with us. And so listen, so we can get right into everything. Please tell us about yourself.
Okay, well, you already know, my name is Denise White Phillips, and I'm originally from New York, relocated to Tampa, Florida. I've been in the Army 31 years. And no, I don't look it. But
No,
it is
not
what
at
it
all.
is. Yeah, but 31 good years. I enjoyed the Army, loved it. I joined the Army trying to get away from going to school, not knowing that joining the Army was going to school.
Mm-hmm.
So here I am.
What's your MOS?
Well, I have two, so it depends on which one I want to play. But
Okay. Tell us
I'm-
about both of them then.
okay. Well, what's near and dear to my heart, I'm a 71 Lima, which is HR, Human
Okay.
Resource. And then I decided that wasn't challenging enough, so I joined 42 Alpha, which is finance.
Okay.
So I make sure that the soldiers, not only are their records straight, but they get paid well.
Well, most people love you there. So you're the guy that they love to see and want to see. I know when it comes to that time that everybody wants to make sure that the money's straight. So now you've been doing that one, and is this now your primary function, or you just do both of them still?
No, well, it's good to know both, but I'm currently a
42?
42 Alpha.
Okay. Yes. Well, so now what part of New York were you in?
Queens, New York.
Okay.
The quiet side.
Good. That was my old stomping grounds because out there was what, Fort Totten?
Yes.
Okay. And you've been in Florida for how long now?
Since 2007.
2007? Okay. Yeah, we came back in 2004. I gave up the snow
Oh,
for
yeah.
all the sunshine.
Well, they didn't tell me I need to put on my rain gear. But
Well, if you have grass, you love it. As long as there's not too much of it. But so now, the thing is, since you've been back now, and you've been doing that particular job, what you're with one of the units here now also?
yes, I'm with the 7th Battalion for the 108th Regiment
Mhm.
Finance Company here.
So is it a good unit?
It is. It's a small unit. It's an instructor's unit. We go out to Fort Devens and
Mm-hmm.
reclass all the soldiers that are reclassing into finance. Out and making sure that they're on the right track, prepared to take over the.
Yeah, I think I was with a military intelligence unit here in Clearwater at one time, and I used to come from Tampa, so and like they had those wonderful little small units that you just loved. So there are a lot of units that really got deactivated when they started making cuts, and then they kind of combined a whole lot of them also. So there are a lot of units out here that people still can get into when they're looking for something decent to do. And the training is good for a lot of the new kids coming in also.
Yeah. Well, you never lose what you already know. So
Yes.
you're just enhancing more, picking up more responsibilities, and just have a different avenue of travel.
Hmm. So now, what rank are you currently?
Currently a sergeant first class. That's an E7.
Okay. Okay. And that was the same rank I was when I got out. But I enjoyed it. And of course, with that, it's sort of like as an E7, you're the guy, the go-to person all over the place.
Oh yeah.
So yes. And all right. So anything else we should know about you?
Well, that I have two beautiful children, Ricky, who's currently just got a job as a teacher, and my 16-year-old who thinks that all I should do is work for her.
Okay, that's sort of like mine. I have 16-year-old twins.
Okay.
And
So you've got your hands full.
Yeah, so mine is doubly, it's sort of like double trouble actually, because that's what they want. It's sort of, well, listen, you still got to take care of us,
Oh yeah.
and we want everything. Nothing is like, okay, we're going to go out and get a job. We just want it all.
Well, my first name is Mom. Second name is I Need.
Yes,
So
exactly.
Mom, I Need.
And they were always there trying to get everything.
Yes.
But you know what? I'm glad that you were able to come because, I had been saying to myself, I need to get another co-host, and thank goodness, you came. So I hope that everything works very well and that the chemistry right and that we can put all the information out there to those people who need it. And today, being a special day, being the 11th anniversary of 9/11,
Mm-hmm.
and as a country, we're still going strong, and thank God no other things have happened since then. No real bad tragedies coming from someone else. I mean, it costs a whole lot to protect everyone, but at the same time, America, we go through tragedy, but then we pull right up out of it and we go on with our lives. We don't walk around in a nation in total fear. We go through things, not like other countries, but at the same time, the things that we do go through, we come back and we continue on with our lives. And our thing is not to live in total fear of anything. And I think that's what is so good about our military and the other people like the police department and other first responders who help make this nation such a great place.
And I truly want to give my condolence to America. For those of you who have lost someone on this day, my heart goes out to you. I know where I was on 9/11 when it happened. I was on Fort Dix. And I've never, seen them close a base so sudden. Everything stopped. So I say to anyone that has lost someone, yes, we are the greatest nation on earth. And it was cowards that did this to us. And, this too shall pass. So I say that, to all you cowards, who are watching, and for anyone that has lost someone, my condolence to that family.
Yeah, it's funny that we were both in New York because in my old neighborhood, which was in the Bronx, I was standing outside in the street and I could see the World Trade Center, see the smoke billowing out of the building and everything else. And it was such an odd and eerie feeling that there it was burning. And you could actually see that from where I lived. And I'm standing there with all the other people watching that. And, it was sort of like, oh my God, look at that. And then years later, it's just so strange because I worked at the World Trade Center at one time. I worked on the 52nd floor when I first got to New York in 78. And it was just weird.
Well, to say I've gone back to New York and just going in that area, it still feels empty.
Yeah.
You're used to going, and seeing the Twin Towers, and now there's nothing.
But it's America, though. We're a resilient nation, and our whole thing is we come back. We go through tragedy, and it's not like it's something that we just let linger and linger and linger. We try to build and go on with our lives and not live in total fear. So, we move on. Things may still affect us after a while, but not to the point where people are totally afraid to do anything. Because when things like that happen, New Yorkers, even though people were afraid, were determined not to just say, listen, I'm not going to do this or I'm not going to do that. After a while, everybody, just seemed to say, okay, no one's going to keep me from doing anything. I'm just going to continue with my life. I'm going to go on about my business and I'm not going to live in fear. And they refuse to do it. They refuse not to do things that they normally would do. I mean, we thought of, if you crossed a bridge or something, sometimes you would think about all the things that could happen. But at the same time, I mean, it's sort of like if someone got hit on the street by a car because of a faulty light, people would think about it, but they would still go on and they would still cross the street. It's something that they would think about. And I think this was probably the same thing with 9/11. But I mean, it was such a tragedy. And I mean, it hit us to our core because we never thought that would happen, but we still go on. Anytime we've suffered a tragedy as a nation, we've gone on. And, you just look at the way we've evolved as a country or as a nation. We've just gone on and on and on. And thank God we have the resources and we have the people. We have the leadership where we've always been able to come back from whatever has happened and go on with our lives. And I think that's what makes America, America. We've seen adversity and we've dealt with it and we've continued to march. I mean, every country has gone through things and they continue to march, but we come back at it on a very rapid pace, and we just, continue.
Well, the thing is not to take anything for granted now, and we must be alert.
Oh, yes.
We must be sure that security is our first and foremost, and be security minded.
Oh, yeah. Well, what more can we do? I mean, what else is there out there for us to do other than, listen, we have a military that's second to none. Okay. And God knows we've trained, we've prepared, wherever we go, we do. And I think a lot of times, even with the military, when it comes right down to it, we're the guy who has the biggest stick, but we don't use it in that capacity. It's sort of like you can do certain things, but you don't do it. You don't go crazy. You don't act like, hey, I'm the biggest bully or whatever. People may think or say that that's how you do it, but you know doggone well, and they know also that that's not the way you do things. We know that there are people out there that regardless of what you do, how you carry yourself, they're going to hate you. And then that hate is going to come out in ways which we just can't understand. So we try our best to figure out, why do you try to harm people? What is it that's in your makeup that makes you want to hate people so much that you would cause so much pain and destruction? And we can't fathom that. We see things and we say it doesn't make sense to us. They see it and it's like, oh, okay, this is the way we do business. We can't see it. I think Americans look at things one way and the rest of the world sometimes look at it a completely different way, and it just doesn't make sense to us. And I think it's taken such a long time for us to try and even think about it in the same terms as other people do. I often think to myself that, when you have people who blow themselves up, how do you do that?
Well, you have to remember, everybody doesn't look at life the way we do. We just go out every day, like, if I don't get it today, I'll get it tomorrow. Don't worry about it. Nonchalant type of thing. Easy. It's an easy day for us. Whereas in these countries or third world countries, they're working twice as hard just to stay alive. Or they're used to just, having it rough. Don't know where the next meal is coming from. We don't have any lights. We panic. Oh, they turned the lights out. In that country, they probably never had lights. Their light was their light. And when it's dark, it's dark. You turn my lights out and I panic. Oh my God, I don't have any lights. What am I going to do? I remember when we had that power outage in New York for a couple of days.
Mm-hmm.
The first thing my son said to me was, Mom, how are you going to cook? Okay, we're going to use the grill. The grill. How am I going to take a bath? There's no hot water. Okay. But when I went to Afghanistan and Iraq, whatever they had, their resource is what they used. No hot water, they still showered. Might be cold. So, we're just as a nation, we're used to, taking it easy.
Yeah, but what? We come up under completely different standards than a lot of other people because, well, see, where other people may not have had it and they may not be used to it, we are used to having things. There are standards that we live by, standards that we have. And I think when you take those things that we take for granted away, it's hard to cope with them. And I think when we look at life and people take life for granted, because I don't think we take life for granted. I mean, we look at the things that we do in life every day, and maybe we take those things for granted. But the taking of life, we don't take for granted. It's very dear to us, where other people, it may not be as dear. So Americans, we always have it that way. We look at what God gave us, and we go with that. And these are our God-given rights, and we protect them. We honor them. I mean, they mean a whole heck of a lot to us. And I think when you look at our forefathers and everyone else here in America, it's just been that way. You know, everything is God and country and, brotherly love to a degree, just depending on how you look at brotherly love. But even there, it's the things that you do to people as to how they react to life itself. And I just feel that when people come and they do things that we find it very repulsive when people take people's life indiscriminately. And a lot of times it happens. I mean, even when we get these random mass killings in theaters or on campuses, everyone is appalled at how this happens. These may not be people who are coming from a foreign country, but it's still a random killing. It's a useless taking of lives. So when it is someone coming onto our soil and basically doing the same thing out of hatred of Americans, we really look at it as, hey, that's horrible.
I don't know why why would you hate America so much, but yet you want to come here? Yet you want to be in a place that you hate?
Well, is it a thing that, I see you and I see what you have, and if I don't have it, I don't want you to have it? Is it sort of like the guy who is leaving his spouse, and if I can't have her, no one's going to have her? And I wonder if it's the same mentality, because if no one can have what you have or what I have, and I'm not going to give it up either, then that's how we're looking at it here. Because there's some sick mentality behind that whole rationale that we look at. Because there's something wrong with that. Why can't everyone just live the way they would like to live, and no one's there to try and be the bad guy, the guy who wants to take out everything and make sure that your life is as miserable as his life? Maybe he made his life that way. We didn't make it that way. Am I going next door to your house and saying, okay, I'm going to make your life miserable? Does that mean that you should come to my house and make my life miserable? It happens. And then when you ask for an explanation, it's, hey, I don't really have a really good one for you. It's just that I think you deserve what I'm giving you. And it doesn't go very far as I'm concerned, because even when it happens, then when we deal with the people, it's always, I don't know. To me, it just looks like everybody just slaps everybody else on the wrist and says, okay, you did the bad thing. Now we'll kind of deal with you, but we're not going to really deal with you. We're just going to slap you on the wrist, let you go, and you do your thing. Because if I'm not mistaken, the guy from Al-Qaeda who was just killed in a missile strike, and I think that happened either yesterday or this morning, is a guy who was at Guantanamo. And he had been released from Guantanamo, and there he was right back again doing the same thing. So how do you look at that one? Same, where is the rationale in letting him go when you know that here is the same guy up to the same old tricks, and you take him out this time? So now this time, he's not going to be out there doing the same thing again. But if you let him go and, in his heart, he hadn't reformed, I don't know. That's almost, to me, like letting a mass murderer who hasn't reformed out of jail. And the guy says, on my way out the door, Hey, I'll be seeing you.
I'll be back.
Yeah. So I don't understand how a lot of these things work, because some people know that this guy hasn't changed. He's not going to stop doing what he's doing. But yet, it's just a thing that, some people are saying by popular demand, we're going to let you go. I wonder about that.
I don't know. I think these people that just want to be destructive and create havoc for Americans, they should just put them all in one central location and let them go at it. Why waste, the citizens' money to keep them or try to reform them when they don't want to be reformed?
But have you ever noticed that all the people who always want to create havoc for other people never seem to run into one another, but they always seem to run into people who want to be left alone, who want to live their lives in a peaceful coexistence with other people. So all the terrorists always seem to run into people who are just trying to live a normal life.
That's because
they never run into any other radical groups that are out to get them.
Because they're cowards.
Yeah, but it's amazing though. With all the hate groups that are going on and everything else, the people who hate one another never run into each other and battle it out. They always run into the guys who are minding their own business and don't want to be bothered. I always find that such a ironic twist of fate. I always say, why can't they ever run into one another?
Or do they really want to run into one another?
No, they don't. we know the real deal there. These guys don't ever want to see each other, because then they know, well, if I run into them, it's a battle. But if I run into somebody who's not looking for anything, it's no battle. It's just something that's going to happen.
It's like the bullies at school. Do they pick on other bullies?
No, of course not.
They'll pick on the weak person or the person that's minding their business, the person that just doesn't want to be bothered. Why? Because they want to be the one that shines. Oh, I'm the big bad wolf. Well, are you really?
But you know what? The only bad thing these days is, like, when they pick on somebody, they end up picking on some guy who's about ready to flip out. And then the next thing you know, he comes back to school and he kills all the wrong people. Yeah. It's never the bullies who get anything that they deserve. And I think it's sort of like the people who decide to attack and destroy everything that they can in America. It's never the people or anything that, they won't go to a military base and say, okay, here we come. This is what we're going to do, because it's going to happen. What the outcome is going to be. And it's always everything that's, snuck up on, or something where, we're not going to let you know it's coming, but this is what we're going to do. And it's a shame, because you just say to yourself, why? Why do you have to always do something so destructive? Why are lives always taken? Why can't you just let people live in peace? But, thank God we have the military that we have. We have the police department. We have the people in place. You have an FBI, a CIA. You have all these people who do their jobs, who keep us safe. There are so many untold individuals who do things. But, even them, they're in jeopardy all the time, because, and this is something I guess we'll get into in a later show, but, so many things are supposed to be kept in secret. But even then, especially with our intelligence community, every time you look around, there are leaks here, leaks there, leaks everywhere. And how do you keep secrets? I mean, because I was just looking at the guy who, and I'll have to get back on this one, but I'm just going to kind of throw something out there. Guy who wrote the book, The Navy SEAL. And in it, he's revealing certain things. But when I had a top secret clearance, the whole thing there was, hey, top secret clearance, things that are secret, stay secret. You don't put it out there. Classified information stays classified. There's nothing you're supposed to be leaking. Then now it's, well, let me put it out there. Nobody can stop me. Nobody's going to say anything. And it seems to be that the government seems to not to be able to do anything about it. Even the, what was it? He was a specialist or a private who leaked all of those classified documents to LeakyWeek. What was it? Yeah. And what became of him? I mean, it wasn't like, hey, listen, this guy's going to be thrown up under the jail. It was nothing. It was kind of like, oh, well, gosh, let's slap him on the hand and let it go.
Well, I think what really needs to happen, what I think, and it's just what I think, you leak information about a U.S. government, you ought to be held accountable.
Well, yeah.
What's accountability?
But but the way I'm kind of looking at accountability, who was on the air this morning? Was it Leon Panetta? And his whole thing was he was upset. And I think maybe there might have been something he wanted to say, but still, it was not like, hey, this guy's going to get his, or people who do things are going to get theirs. But I still think, I don't know if it's because it's an election year and people can't really say what's on their minds. But my whole thing there is, if you just start talking and you let certain things get out, or you got a book going and you put things in there that wasn't supposed to be there, that was supposed to be classified or what have you, then you should get what's coming to you. First of all, you're not supposed to be doing it, but then you put it out there and no one's going to say anything to you other than, bad boy, you shouldn't have done that. How the heck do you expect people that you're dealing with in the intelligence community or anything else
to feel safe?
Yeah. Would I put myself out there saying, well, I'm going to trust you because I know that anything that you do, I can count on. When every time you do something, there's always the fact that it might be put out to someone else and you have no control over it.
The thing is, I think his book needs to, they need to put a stop on that book. I don't know how, but the book should be forbidden on being sold.
I don't think, that's not going to happen. And I think that right now, from what I gather from the news, is they're thinking about trying to stop the earnings that he may make from that book. But
because it's a dollar sign being waved.
But, if we can stop the earnings from the book, then I think that's what the government might be looking at. Then that way he makes no money. But to me, that's not the point. The point is you're doing damage. I mean, well, why not stop the book, period? Why not say, hey, you can't do it? Hey, listen, if you do it, that's your butt. But no, it's sort of like we need to stop the earnings. We need to kind of like slap him on the wrist. No, I don't think that's the way to go with that. And then, because this is not the first time something like that's come up. And then, like I said, the other kid who did his little thing, whatever happened was kind of really kept quiet on that. I didn't catch everything, but I'm going to look that up and find out exactly what went on. But still, it wasn't much. I mean, it wasn't like, oh my God, you're on active duty. You did this. That's you. You can kiss yourself goodbye. It was kind of, oh, gee, well, he did it. Isn't that a shame? I mean, I just think that a lot of times Americans ourselves, we've become a people who look at certain things and go, well, we shouldn't be as critical, and we have to worry about the public sentiment as far as when people do things wrong. Guys go out there and kill people, and some people are saying, oh, that poor guy, maybe he had some personal problems. Well, what about the people who he affected? What about them? I I'm not saying that go out there and kill everybody because, I mean, there's so many people who do things and, later on improve it's not. But if you got guy on tape and you see him shooting 100 people, then you know it's him. I mean, then what? But my whole thing is, what do we do to all of these people who do harm and we know it's them and we just kind of like sweep it up under the rug and say, well, okay, that problem will be dealt with eventually. Because all those guys that they had in Guantanamo, look at them. These are not people, everyday people that just picked up and you just kind of like, they're in Guantanamo. Eventually we'll reform them or whatever. They're not going to be reformed. They're going to be right back where they started from.
I think we're too much of a forgiving nation. Oh, I'll forgive you for what you do. Just
Yeah.
don't do it next time. Oh, okay, we'll work on it.
Well, that happens a lot. You'll always find that. But, I think, I look at America as, we do forgive. We've always been that kind of a place where we forgive. We're not as eye for an eye people as a lot of other nations are. We've come up with a different way of dealing with things. We're just forgiving. But I think sometimes forgiving could really get you in a lot of trouble. I mean, I think it's good to forgive because a lot of times I get really mad and I'm saying to myself, boy, I sure like to choke so-and-so. But at the same time, you know doggone well that later on, after you've kind of cooled down, you just say, what the heck, it doesn't even matter. And, it's better to forgive them because later on it's just as easy to be forgiving and you can kind of say, all right, I can deal with them and we'll go back to being just the way we were before instead of, oh gosh, I'll stay mad with you all the rest of my life. But we do kind of tend to forgive people who we know will never forgive us for just being the people that we are. For just living a certain way or for just being ourselves, they'll never forgive us for that, even though we've never done anything to them at all other than the fact of saying, well, we're Americans. They'll never forgive us for that. And they'll always want to harm us, and I think that's the craziest thing in the whole world.
I think we ought to stop just trying to save the world. Can we just save America? And I understand we should not be selfish, but we just want to save the world. Oh, this country's having an issue? Let's go over there and help. This country's having it? Let's go in. How about just helping America? There's enough here to help.
You know what? I think, to me, now, I don't know if everybody agrees with me. And, we have callers out there. And as a matter of fact, I should put the number out there. If you want to call in the station, it's 727-493-2055. But now, I often think, and now this is going to sound a little wild also, but, America, I think when we were formed, created, or came out of the ashes to be what we are, I think, and this has been my thought for many a year, that we're the country that was meant to be the country that saves the world. We're the world police, if you know, because I don't think anybody else carries a stick like we carry and refuses to use it like everybody else would use it. I don't think anyone else would have the compassion that Americans have. You know what? For all the faults that Americans have, for all the crazy things that we have going on and the way we treat each other at times and do so many weird things, we have more compassion for people and for situations and everything else than anyone else. I think our whole thing is that we were probably created to be what we are. We came out of like I said, the ashes, just like God created man. It was sort of like America was created, and that's why our passion, our compassion is the way it is. And that's why, wherever we go, we seem to go to be the world police. I mean, there are other countries out there that seem to do the same thing, but their stick isn't as big as ours. Um, no one else is military, and I'm not saying that, everybody else is weaker than we are, but, listen, let's face it, this is America, and we have one
Well, we do
heck
have
of a military.
We have one of the best military in the
We
world.
have the best, as far as I'm concerned.
You're right.
Because, listen, we try not to overdo it. We try not to brag too much. But listen, come on, let's face it, we do. We got everything. I mean, when you look at it, if it, a lot of stuff might have been made somewhere else or whatever, but you know doggone well that the majority of everything comes from America, and we take it there. We come out with things, we do things. Our soldiers are the best equipped in the world. When they go someplace, they know doggone well that, listen, we go second to none.
Yeah.
We are second to none, and that's an understatement right there. I think that if it were not for the way we do things, that a lot of things would be totally different. We go places, and the things that we do, we try to do it diplomatically. I mean, we don't just storm into some place and say, okay, we're here, we're going to shoot up everybody, we're going to do this, we're going to do that, and we're just going to march and clear out everything, and that's the way we're going to do it. I mean, I think there are places that we could probably go in and take out everybody and say, okay, we're establishing ourselves as whatever, and from now on, this is a satellite country of America. We don't do that. I mean, we try to work with people who we know doggone well it's almost impossible to deal with. I mean, if you look at the world situation, look how far we go to bend over backwards and twist ourselves all around like a pretzel to deal with them. It's hard.
Callers, again, we need you to call in at 727-493-2055.
We will one day get to a point where hopefully things change.
Or we'll get to a point where America says, enough is enough. This is what we're going to do. We're going to do it and get out of there. Get it over with. Stop playing along with the enemy.
I think it's coming.
Toying with them. We're toying with them. Okay, you want us to come? You want us to do this? No, let's get in there, do it, and get it done.
Well, hopefully that's what they're doing now. Get ready to get out of there.
Billions of dollars later.
Yeah, but I mean that seems to always happen. Look at Vietnam and other places. We've gone in and billions of dollars later, out of there. I'm just hoping that when these things happen, it's always a better result than it was the last time. We can only hope that it's always a better result. But, lessons learned and what have you, and you say to yourself, what do we do? How do we take it? And, of course, that's a thing for politicians, and never kind of really looking into the political arena. I'm just saying, well, that's you guys. It's in your court. You handle that one, and you're always praying that Congress and the rest of them seem to get these things together. There's always seems to be like the big fight there. One group is going one way, another group is going another way. And do they come together? Do they ever seem to get things squared away? So, there's been fights all over the place. And then there's been people trying to do things. And one administration comes, another administration goes. So still, we carry on. We continue to march. So who knows what's going to happen somewhere down the line. Hopefully it all gets together. But only thing we can do is continue to march and see what happens.
And pray that there will never be another 9/11.
Well, you know what? I would think with the way things are going, and would pray every day that there is never another 9/11. And thank God so far there has not been one. We've been blessed, and the only thing we could do is continue to march. You know? I mean, well, the one good thing is every time you look in the news, though, you know that people are out there working really hard because they're always breaking up some sort of plot for something. And so that shows you that the government is working very hard and people are out there making sure that America is safe and that things just don't happen. So that tells you that there is no rest for the weary, you know?
What makes up America? America is very diverse.
Oh, yes.
I mean, so I'm not understanding when we have one country or another nation that wants to come into America and destroy us when some of your very own people are here. I mean,
People don't care. I mean, listen, if they're blowing them up where they are, then, well, listen, let's go where they are again and find them and we'll still blow them up. They don't care. Who cares about, that's the thing in America. See, Americans are afraid of people if you blow yourself up, then Americans are afraid of you because we won't go that far.
no, we're not blowing ourselves
No,
up.
we're not going to do that, you know. Americans just find that just over the edge, you know. If you blow yourself up, then I'm definitely afraid of you. You know, there's something wrong with you. And that's why
That's the mentality that these people have.
we don't
you're
have
gonna
that mentality.
You're going to strap all this bomb onto yourself. Well, if you're going to blow yourself up, can you do it on your side of the town? Could you not involve everybody?
And see, that's why we find it so strange, and it puts fear in people in that sense. I think when that first started happening, everybody had a real fear of people. I mean, it's calmed down, and people don't get as crazy about it. It's okay. You know, at first it was new. But then after that wore off, it's not as a bigger threat. And people are still start looking at people saying, oh, my God, there's something wrong with that person or whatever. They just go on about their business. But I think it's just the thought of whatever. You know, it's that if you will blow up someone or if you'll blow up yourself, you'll blow up anyone. So I'm afraid of you. And it's just like a guy get in his car. You know, if he'll run people over, if he'll run a little old lady going across the street over, then he'll do that to anyone. So that everybody becomes afraid of him. You know, or if he'll run the car off the cliff with himself in it, then he'll take you and everybody else with him too. So people just get afraid of people who do things that are totally different. So now, you know, it's like today we have people who are afraid to go into a lot of crowded places now. Because every time they go someplace where it might be crowded, the first thing that comes into their mind is, if I'm in that place, what might go on?
Well, America is making it where you won't be afraid.
Oh, yeah.
You know, I mean, we have one of the best security teams in the world.
Well, see, that is because we don't want people to be afraid. We want people to feel at ease. You're Americans, and America's supposed to be a place where you can live normally, where you don't have to be totally afraid of anybody or anything. And that's how we want it to be. And listen, you've got FBI, you've got people at CIA. You've got all kind of agencies. You got the police department. You've got the military. You've got military intelligence. So you've got people who are working constantly to make sure that this doesn't happen. I mean, there are things that I think can't be avoided in life. I mean, it's I don't care how hard you try to do something eventually may happen. So if it does, then it may be 1 out of a million.
I just think we ignored the warning signs, if there were warning signs.
There were warning signs.
We just took it for granted that it won't happen to us.
There were things that probably could have been avoided at that particular time. There were a lot of, there was a lot of correspondence that was saying there was a possibility of something like this going off. But people didn't put as much into it as they should have.
Well, are we saying people or are we saying the politicians? Because
politicians, when I say people, when I say people, I mean there were politicians but these were people who were looking at correspondence. There was a lot of traffic that was coming in about possible scenarios that were going on. But they didn't really think that it would happen that way. So at the time, they were looking at these things, and it was kind of like,
Or maybe they were hoping, no, it won't happen on my watch.
Yeah, but it did. But there was a whole lot of stuff that came out. First there was the little thing about all the flight training that was going on. Then there was the correspondence that other things were happening, and people were seeing these, but they didn't put as much emphasis into it as they should have. But when you get, I guess it's sort of like when you get a lot of traffic, you tend to filter out a whole lot. It was sort of like, I guess, the same thing that was happening at Pearl Harbor during that era when they were getting so much traffic about an imminent Japanese attack. People looked at all that information. They didn't know where it was going to come, when it was going to come, or where. And then when it did come, it was a surprise. But they knew something was coming down.
The sick thing about it is that we train these people.
Yeah.
So we train you to blow us up?
Well,
we train you to attack us?
But we
train you to cripple us?
Who is it that we don't train?
I don't know, because
who is it that we don't train?
I've been deployed twice, and we train just about everyone that comes in our circle. We're willing to, let me show you this is how it should be done.
But
they're using it against us.
But here's the thing. I think anything that you look at is, we train a lot of people. But you don't expect anything to come back and bite you. It's like when you train, and I don't know if this is the right context to use, but, I was going to say you could train your dog, but you could train your children to be the best at something, but then you don't train. When you train your child, you don't expect your child to come back and rob your house.
You're right, but then you don't give them all the tools. Some things they just need to learn on their own.
Well,
we give them the best. We go out and we literally teach them how it should be done. This is the way we do it. Well, hell, they're using it against us. So how about just giving them enough, and then you go back to where you need to go and
see, here's the thing. When you teach someone something, you have to understand the one thing also about the government. It's sort of like when we go off to school as to learn our jobs in the military, they teach us everything. There is nothing that they leave out because they want us to be the best at what we do. If you're our ally, and we want you to be the best at being an ally, then we teach you everything.
Is the Allies teaching us what they know?
Well, but see, here's the thing. If you are the professor, you're going to teach your student everything as much as you possibly can so that that student one day may be a professor himself. So your outlook on everything is he's not going to come back and sabotage anything. He's only going to come back and be a good professor. But what goes awry is the fact that a lot of our students have come back to be adversaries instead of allies. They were allies at one time, and the next thing you know, it's an adversary or some degree a troublemaker. So it's very hard to get everything done the way we want it to be done. We look at a lot of things that happens with governments, and see, one government, you may get one leader that's pro-United States. But now remember, this country has everything that we've gotten. So one leader is pro-United States. The next leader comes in, anti-United States, anti-democracy, anti-everything, anti-human beings. Well, listen, you may have taught us everything. Thank you very much, but now I'm going to use it on you. So we run into those things, and those are the things that get us. But, I'll tell you what, Denise, what we'll do is we'll carry this on, and we'll get to a few more things one of these days, and we'll talk about it all. I've enjoyed today, and thank you so much for being with me. And one of these days soon we'll continue, okay?
Thanks for having me.
All right.
It's always a
this
pleasure.
has been MilitaryChatRadio.com, and this has been the Al Young Show, and my beautiful co-host is, what is it?
Sergeant WP.
That's exactly what.
That's what I'm known as.
All right.
Thanks for having me. Have a great day,
All right.
America. God bless America.
Keep our freedom alive. Salute the flag instead. The freedom we enjoy is held within their hands. Their life is on the line. Their family and their friends, they leave them all behind. They give with all their might. The men and women who serve our shining light. They are warriors. Keep our freedom alive. Salute the flag and stand. Freedom we enjoy is held within their hands. Their life is on the line. The family and their friends, they leave them all behind. They give with all their might. The men and women who serve our shining light. They are warriors. The men and women who strive to keep our nation strong. We honor family members who are left behind to carry on. May we never forget the prisoner of war, missing in action and killed in action. God bless our retired veterans, and God bless the USA. Through the struggle and fight to survive, they keep freedom alive. They march into foreign land. The soldier today. Now bless the soldier today.
This is Angel, Goddess of Love, coming at you from the Naughty is Nice show from TalkSlamRadio.com.